Hello, good evening. It is Sunday, the 21st of November. And I was going to talk about the election. I was going to talk about different things. But what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, this country is going crazy. It's gone crazy. The situation with voter fraud, it's happened. It happened on both sides. If you listen to Greg Palast, he did a complete investigation of the voter fraud that was going on in Georgia, and the Republicans have scoured the rolls, basically, and have removed probably 200,000 black voters off the registration list. The Democrats have been pulling this fraud operation with the software and the Dominion voting machines. I don't doubt any of it. I get my information from several sources that I trust completely. And when they tell me, yeah, it's happening, there's no doubt about it, this is how they did it, that is good enough for me, because these guys have been around for a long time investigating these things. And so you've got a situation where the United States has gone crazy. Everything is racism, everything is virtue signaling, everything is, oh, you hurt my feelings, or you said it the wrong way, or you used the wrong pronoun. And nobody's talking about the real issues. Our economy is collapsing. We're in, 7 wars? Occupying countries? Trump wants to get out of the war. He wants to get us out of Afghanistan, pull out troops from Iraq and Syria, and he's having a problem with his own party and the Democratic Party and the military-industrial complex. All want us to stay in over there. The American people don't want us to stay in over there. We're not doing anything good for the American people. We're there for oil, for banks. We're over there for the multi-billion dollars, the trillions of dollars of that money is just blown over there, handed off to the military-industrial complex and the very super rich that run the economy, that run the United States economy. So we're under an oligarchy, and when Biden gets in, assuming he does, which he probably will, we're going down the toilet even faster. What really angers me is when you talk to Democrats, they think that now that Trump is getting out, everything is going to be wonderful. They do not have a freaking clue about anything that's going on. Biden is probably the worst candidate we can put in the presidency. Look at the people he's already picking for his cabinet. It's insanity. It's big, it's the big tech, big pharma, the lobbyists. I mean, it's the whole swamp is coming in and taking over. And Biden's not going to be doing anything except sitting out in the front lawn of the White House in his bathrobe feeding pigeons, for Christ's sake. It's ridiculous. So we're in for a hell of a ride. I am very worried that we're going to end up in World War III, because Biden is a nut. And he's got crazy people around him that think that we can take on Iran, and we can take on Venezuela, and we can take on Russia, and we can take on China, and rule the world. And that just ain't going to happen, okay? Because you can have as much hardware as you want, but when you start bombing these countries back to the Stone Age, and you get the entire world in an uproar, angry at the United States and what we're doing, it's not going to be good. You're going to have everybody gunning for us. So let Trump get out of these wars. Just let him do it. Let him. I would love to see him pardon Snowden and Assange. If he would do that and get us out of these wars, that would be the best legacy he could leave us. And the voter fraud that's going on, yeah, the Republicans did it. they do it all the time, and the Democrats look and see it. They know what's going on. They don't do anything to stop it. But the stuff that the Democrats did with Smartmatic and the software, this operation has been going on in other countries. Sidney Powell, the attorney for Trump, has laid it all out. And you can see she's been on Newsmax and a couple other shows, and she's credible. She's got a very good history of being right on and not playing around and not screwing around and giving us the real truth about what's going on. And she says that the CIA are involved, and they have taken down other presidents and in other countries with this software, and now they're using it here, and it's designed specifically to be manipulated. There's whistleblowers that are talking about it. This is a voter fraud operation that's being done by the Democratic Party to take the election away from Trump and give it to Biden. You've got the military-industrial complex, you've got the deep state, you've got the swamp, which is the deep state. You've got Wall Street. Everybody loves Biden. Why do people love Biden? Because they know what he is. They know who he is. They know what he will do and what he won't do. And I can guarantee you that he is about as non-progressive as any human being on the planet. You will not get anything good from Biden. They talk about, oh, well, we're going to do the minimum wage and all that. Good luck. He's a liar. He's a lying scumbag. And he's just as big of a liar as Trump is. He's just as big of he's worse as far as a womanizer than Trump. So all this virtue signaling from the Democratic Party about how everything is going to be, we're bringing back the soul of America, that is total bullshit. Sorry to say it, but that's what it is. So this country's gone crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. But if we end up in World War III, we're all finished. We're all finished. There was something else that I wanted to mention about this Green New Deal, because there's been some discussions about the Green New Deal and about what the real goals are, because you've got big oil and different huge corporations that are funding the Green New Deal projects to try and get us this carbon tax. That is the worst thing that you can do. I am not a climate denier. The climate is changing. It's been changing. It always changes. The question is, who is the cause of the climate? What is the cause? Is it the sun? Is it neutrino bombardment? Is it, do we really know exactly what is causing the atmosphere to warm up? The things that go on in the atmosphere and the climate is very complex. You have a lot of different things that all work together. And the biggest factor is the sun. Sunspots, sun radiation, that is the biggest factor. If you look at things like a volcano eruption, a volcano eruption can put up into the atmosphere more CO2 and sulfur dioxide and all kinds of chemicals, greenhouse gases, than human beings can do in several years. And we have volcanic eruptions going on all over the world. So the scientists, when they say, 95% of the world's scientists agree, that is absolutely not true. What it is it's 95% of a third of the scientists, because there was a third of the scientists that showed up to this climate conference that was held several years ago, and only a third of the scientists in the world even showed up. And a lot of those, agreed. But there's also 2/3 of the scientists that don't agree that human beings are the major cause of the CO2. We've got a situation where we are actually with the fossil fuels, when we burn fossil fuels, we are actually putting the carbon back into the atmosphere that was absorbed back millions of years ago. That's how you ended up with these deposits, the different organic materials that were buried and under high pressure created the oil deposits and the gas deposits. So if you look at a greenhouse, for instance, a professionally run greenhouse, they pump a lot of extra CO2 into the greenhouse because the plants will grow faster, bigger, higher production. It's a very interesting situation when you look at CO2 because plants live on CO2 and they produce oxygen. So saying that we need to deindustrialize the world, which is basically what the carbon tax will do, that will kill billions. If we try to deindustrialize the world and take out oil right now off of the table, billions will die because our economies are based on oil and energy and the energy that we get from burning fossil fuels to drive our machinery and equipment and power stations and all the other things. So I would like to see us burn less fossil fuels. That would be fine. But we have to do it in steps. And the steps are not going to be solar and wind. It's not going to work. Cannot work. Look at the movie that Michael Moore produced, Planet of the Humans. He's absolutely correct. You are going to need nuclear power. You have to have nuclear power to run an industrial society. You cannot run on wind and solar. Cannot be done. So ultimately we want to achieve fusion energy, which is actually the way the sun works. The star is a ball of hydrogen under high compression, which causes the hydrogen atoms to fuse and create helium as a byproduct. So that's our ultimate goal. But the only way to get there is with nuclear power. And there are some new nuclear technologies that are very safe and very clean. We need to work on those. I will go along with a Green New Deal if it has that in it. But if they're talking about shutting down oil production and bringing in wind and solar, that is a joke. It's a clown show. It's not going to work. It's going to create havoc. It's going to kill millions of people because we cannot support the population of the world on solar and wind. Cannot be done. So you got to look at the people that are pushing the carbon tax. You've got to look at the organizations because you've got the Club of Rome. You've got other organizations in the world run by the 1%. And if you look at some of the white papers that come from these really creepy organizations like the Club of Rome, their goal ultimately is to reduce the world's population to 1 billion people. And what's the best way to do that? Wars and get rid of fossil fuels. That would do it. Why do these people want to get rid of so many people? Why are these elitists so Malthusianists? Or they're Malthusianists and they believe in Malthusianism, which was a guy from, 300 years ago that lived in England that believed that the world was too overpopulated back then and believed that cities should be built in the middle of swamps so that you could get diseases that would cull the population. I mean, it's insanity, insane crap. But that's where you got the Eugenics Society. That's where you got a lot of these other crazy movements come from this idiocy. So, yeah, listen to the scientists, but listen to all of them, because there are a lot of scientists that do not agree with the idea that human beings are the cause of global warming. We are actually ultimately headed into a new ice age. That would be really bad for the world economy. So let's look at things with our brains turned on. Let's watch a lot of YouTube documentaries and read books. Turn off CNN, turn off MSNBC, and turn off Fox, unless you want to watch Tucker Carlson. He occasionally will have a good a good guest on. He's had Tulsi Gabbard on and Jimmy Dore and people like that, which no one else will touch. So it's very interesting. But these major medias, you got to understand who owns the major corporate media in this country. It's the same people that own the military-industrial complex. It's the 1%. It's the huge corporations. They have agendas. They have goals. And they are not in the business of news and information. They are in the business of misinformation. So that's what you've got. That's where we're at. And if this situation doesn't change very soon, we are in for World War III. And I am sorry to say it, but that's where we're going, because the country's gone crazy. You talk to people and they're nuts. They've just gone nuts. They don't know where they're at, what they're doing, why they're even here. It's a sad situation. The human population has gone crazy. So I will do another video. There's a couple of subjects I want to work on, is how to become a billionaire. And I have information to show you that to become a billionaire, you have to destroy people's lives. You have to grind people into the dirt economically to suck out that much wealth of the system. There's no other way to do it. And one of the big ways is to take factories and manufacturing in different industries from the United States, where we have relatively decent labor rates, and take them over to cheap labor pools in places like Southeast Asia and China. That's how you become a billionaire. There's no other way. There may be a few exceptions, and I will put those in my report, because I want to be completely truthful here. Just like I want to say that there's voter fraud on both sides. Republicans do it, the Democrats do it. This time, the Democrats are worse, because they are committing vote fraud with the voting equipment and the software designed specifically to do that. So that's a couple of the reports I'm going to work on, and we're going to see if we can make a difference in this world somehow. We got to try. So anyway, that's it for me. Have a good night. Have a good week, and I will be here very, very soon. My name is Terry Allen. This is Radical Progressive, and I am signing off. Have a good night.